Got it. Cool. There you go. It already started. It's recording. Look at that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we're here.
Yeah.
We got coffee.
Yeah. It's a good time. Alex made this coffee, by the way. It's really good.
It's black.
Like
Strong.
Like my soul or me?
Like coffee black, like my tires.
Like my tires?
Yeah.
On your truck that you hit a deer with?
Oh my gosh. Let's not talk about that right now.
It's happening. It happened. It's been like 2 weeks, and I've been watching like, oh, he's going to have his truck at the gym. By the way, Alex drives this really big truck.
In Spanish, the slang term is mamalano, which is has some different connotations to it in the Spanish slang, but it stands for either like a big luxurious truck, like a big cruiser truck, or a lazy old woman. Literally.
How does it get the polarization between the two? Like, how do you even get those polar opposites?
I mean,
a big old truck and a big old lady.
I guess maybe they both kind of like slow and cruising down the road. I don't know. Ask the.
It's like ask the older ladies. I don't know. Just like figure it out, dude.
Yeah. So the Mamalano, it's in the shop. Yeah, it's been more than 2 weeks. It's almost 6 weeks. November 17th. I hit that dumb deer.
Roadkill tag, man.
Well, I've been in Colorado 18 years, so hitting one deer in 18 years, my statistics are pretty good for me.
That's a worse or better statistic than it is for killing an elk. You get one every decade.
One every decade?
One every decade.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible, but it was enough to where it was in the mechanic shop for over 4 weeks, and it's in paint and body. I actually just got a text from the paint and body shop. It's almost done, but
dude.
Yeah, deers will wreak havoc on the front of your truck. If so.
I almost hit one like a week ago. I was going like down the highway to go home because we live like really close to each other. It's crazy. I didn't know how close I lived to each other. I talked to Rhea. Yeah. But yeah, it's like I was there first.
I was there first.
I said
18 years, remember?
That's like over half of my life. That's wild. But I'll push this back so you can see it better. So it's like super zoomed out.
I just want to be half of me there.
Yeah, half of you there.
And then that way it makes my arms look bigger.
Like big, like look swollen. I look like.
It's usually like an optical thing. Like if I lean forward, then this will be the only time ever that I'm bigger than you.
That is true. Yeah, you do look swollen.
If we do the angle, then I can look bigger than you.
It's like.
But
no. Alex,
saying that since I met you, right? I was like, one of these days I want to grow up to be like a 6'2" black dude.
You don't want to do that.
I'm trying to how do I work out to?
You can do that. Like pretty much nowadays, you can be anything you want to be. Going into that,
no one can say I'm not.
No one can say you're not. You should identify as a 6'2" black guy, and automatically your credit score goes down like 200 points.
My credit score goes down. I don't know, worse than a Mexican.
Yes. No, it's pretty bad, man.
Oh, I was told not to say anything negative.
No, it's fine. It's okay because
that's funny.
It's true.
Well, yeah, it's like I'm a 5'8" Mexican dude, but if I tell people I'm a 6'2" black dude, they can't say anything.
They just look at you and go.
They're like,
okay.
I'm not allowed to tell him he's not.
I can't. Yeah, whatever he is what he is. That's the thing. Like, I wonder if I declare myself a female and I go do the women's version of the Open, can I make it?
No, you'll still get beat.
I still get beat. Yeah, I'll still get murdered. Like, here's burpees. And I'm like, fuck you guys.
So funny.
That's crazy how
but back to the deer.
No, go ahead. Deer.
Yeah. Don't hit deers.
But you should have gotten the deer and like got a roadkill tag so you could at least eat its flesh.
He took off, man. There was no fun.
He did. He kept going?
2 broken legs, and he just kept going off. We couldn't find him. I felt bad, honestly. I don't want the thing going off and suffering. I would have rather just put him down. I called wildlife to try and put him down, but he was gone.
He was gone. Yeah. I mean, but he's dragging 2 legs. He didn't get very far.
You look like me after this conditioning workout today.
What is it? So tell everybody what the workout for today is. I don't know.
Today's house workout?
Yeah, house workout.
It's actually pretty good. I'm kind of proud of it. It's one of those ones that like.
It's like the one from yesterday.
When you write thousands and thousands of workouts, right? It's like some of them just have a nice flow to them, like a good classic CrossFit flow to them. Mm-hmm. They test well. What I mean by test well is like they test the athlete's skill, all kind of different modalities well. The workout today is I probably should just.
What is I could go to Train Heroic and pull it up on the side of the screen, but that means I have to.
So it's 4 rounds of 4 minutes of work 2 minutes rest.
Yeah.
But
2 to 1 rest.
So 2 to 1 rest.
Yeah.
4 minutes of work, 2 minutes of rest, 4 rounds. It's 45 double unders, 15 wall balls, 10 burpees over the box, and then in the balance of the 4 minutes, max wall walks. All right. So, and then you rest 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then basically what happens is those 4 movements, the double unders, wall balls, burpees, and the wall walks, those 4 movements just rotate up. So everything kind of shifts up.
Yep.
And then the next round, it'll go wall ball, burpee over box, 5 wall walks, then max effort double unders. So in the 4 rounds and the 4 movements, each one of the 4 rounds and the 4 movements, you get an opportunity to do a max effort reps of each at the end of each one. It just kind of, like a sliding scale through there. So it's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, 15 wall balls, 10 box row burpees, 5 wall walks, or 45 double unders, and then it rotates with a max of each one with a 2 minute.
How many workouts have you actually written?
In my life?
In your life.
Oh,
How do you think? Take a guess. I know that's a really ambiguous question.
Well, I mean, you can kind of get a pretty general idea. We've been CrossFit Decimates. We just had our 8-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 years as an affiliate. I've written pretty much every single workout 5 days a week for all 8 years since day one. And I typically write 2 Metcons a day for the house class and the general and the GPP aspect of our programming, and then as well as an additional work outside of class. Mm-hmm. So you can figure 10 a week. So let's do quick math.
10 a week. That's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah. So 10 times 52 is 520 times 8 years.
5,200.
4,160.
That's close. That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing based on a decade of doing it, like 10 whole years. But
I mean, and not to say we haven't, redone workouts and retested things. So probably maybe a little bit less than that. But yeah, I'd say 4,000 plus.
How do you do it? Like, okay, so everybody has a little thing. I know I go out and I have a spreadsheet and it kind of has X lookups and it feeds into each movement saying, okay, I've hit this volume of this movement this much. It's time to probably go away from that. That movement in particular, and then I move on to something else, and I keep cycling like that. How do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, there's no secret.
Random.
There's no drawing back the curtains on programming. Mm-hmm. If we understand CrossFit methodology and apply it properly, and understand the needs of our community, meaning, the general public, what their needs are, and the competitive athlete. Which, here at Decimate, we've got competitive athletes of all sorts from the individual divisions to masters. If you understand that, then you just follow that template for the most part. My approach to programming is very, very, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like traditional CrossFit.
Traditional things. Okay.
Traditional CrossFit, right?
Okay.
So, meaning we're going to look at modalities for the day. Mm-hmm. Couplets, triplets, 4+ into chippers, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Vary that throughout the weeks, whether it's our mesocycles and macrocycles. Yeah. I'm kind of jumping around here, but when we first started programming in 8 years ago, 2014, I was literally writing 6 to 8 weeks. And I would write out this thing, and I'd write out this big, long, cycles that I thought was fantastic. And honestly, I mean, it made it scientifically, the programming was good. But what I found quickly, and when I say quickly, I mean probably a couple of years, was that when you write too far out like that, you lose connection with the athletes
and how they feel.
You lose connection with that, and then what sounded great and what technically should be. Should be where you are in the cycle or how you should be progressing in week 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. It doesn't always play out like that in real life.
Yeah. Right. It's like, oh, here's your deload. Here's 1 rep max for your snatch this day. And you're like, I'm just not feeling it today.
Because
I slept like crap.
Yeah, people are tired. They're injured. They're whatever it might be. People progress at different times. Mm-hmm. So I kind of lost connection with the athletes at that point. So I kind of pulled back and started writing. I keep like 2 to 4 weeks in advance, but the cool part about doing that is the framework doesn't change.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That 6 to 8 week framework is still there. Yeah. Right. And you still adhere to it. So you have thought out and intentional programming. it doesn't become random by programming less. It just becomes more specific by programming less.
Yeah.
And then I can stay on top of things. Then, being in the gym, watching the athletes, communicating with them on a daily basis, talking with them how they feel. Then, sometimes I'll look to next week or the week after and be like, man, I got to make these adjustments because it's not going to benefit anybody. It doesn't matter how good it is if it doesn't benefit your athletes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how scientific or how good you think your programming is. If it's not appropriate for where your athletes' needs are, it's useless.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. So yeah, like I said, varying the modality. Like if you look at the CrossFit 2 study guide, there's there's the template for methodology.
It's on the wall over there.
Yeah,
it's around the wall.
There.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I still use that.
Yeah.
Right, because it's a framework that is effective.
It does work.
Right. So you have you take your modalities, you take your loads, you take your time durations, you take all those things, you constantly vary them, and you go through there. So that's the meat and potatoes and the template. But then from there, you take creativity, understanding your athletes, knowing their needs.
It's like art. It really is like an art form.
Yeah, it's like an onion, right? It's like
peeling back the
onion. Well, yeah, but as long as that the fundamentals are there and the template is there and the baseline of CrossFit methodology is there, and you can layer on top of that the appropriate loads, the appropriate intensity, the appropriate things like that. So that's kind of it. Like I said, there's no secret to programming other than knowing your community, knowing your athletes, and not deviating from what works. I mean, CrossFit works. It worked for a reason. Why would we change anything?
It's funny because like I was doing CrossFit while I was in the Army doing CrossFit, I didn't have to really ever run. And when I took my PT test, I would get I would max my PT test out every time. I think most of it was from the different variation of doing all these different movements and doing different things and motor patterns. And it essentially works like an accessory to what my whole goal was or what all my soldiers' goals were. Because I think when I came in here, what was it, 4 years ago? Yeah.
2017, 18, something like that?
2018. My roommate dragged me in here, by the way. He was like, Caleb was like, hey, you should come do CrossFit. I'm like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, is it really hard? I'm like, it's not that hard. I came in here and I threw up in a trash can.
I remember.
And then I was like, I'm going to keep doing this now. So I kept doing it. And then I started telling other people about it. And it's kind of like this word of mouth thing where I had all my soldiers doing CrossFit. And then they were like, why am I doing this? And I literally started with these guys that couldn't overhead squat like a PVC pipe. We slowly worked, did progressions, got them to the point where they're snatching and clean and jerking and doing all this stuff. And then they go, oh my God, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. I was like, every day is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. And it should be that way. I think you have the quote up on the board. It never gets any easier. What was it, Greg Glassman?
Yeah, it's Glassman's quote is that he says, no, it doesn't. It never gets any easier.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want it to either.
Yeah, you don't.
You don't want it to get easier. I mean, that's the beauty of CrossFit, the beauty of the programming, and beauty of the, this training methodology is you don't ever win CrossFit.
It's just like life.
You don't win it.
No one's ever won this game.
And we can talk cliche, quotes all the way, forever. But it's like, again, you master something. What do? You go back and you start again.
Yeah.
You start over, but more intentional, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah.
CrossFit programming and methodology is, you can get into the weeds as much as we want, right? Because there are more idiosyncrasies to it in the sense of, paying attention to the accessory work, paying attention to hypertrophy, paying attention to all those things. Yes, it's important.
Yeah.
We can't neglect any of those things at all.
Yesterday was hypertrophy.
Yeah. So, but I think the CrossFit world and our ecosystem as an industry, and this discussion's been had. I think some of the HQ staff have had some of these discussions before too, that I've seen some podcasts on. But as an industry and as in the CrossFit, in the fitness ecosystem, so many have deviated into thinking the answer is something else.
Scale. Do you think it's scaled too fast for what it had?
What do you mean scaled?
So do you think it grew too fast beyond its means, and it's kind of mismanaged sometimes, or
like CrossFit from HQ standpoint, or CrossFit from like the ecosystem and the people?
I think from the HQ point, because you are only the further you get away from something, the less specificity you see. Like if I have a microscope, and I'm looking at something that's this germ. I can see the single germ, but if I look away from it, I don't see that little germ. I don't see this community, a whole ecosystem that's working to make my body work.
Yeah.
Do you think CrossFit is kind of deviating from that, or kind of having that loss of sight that they've had in the past, maybe?
This is going to be my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of a CrossFit purist.
Yeah.
But I personally don't think CrossFit HQ has.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we as an affiliate here at CrossFit Decimate hasn't either.
Yeah.
We kind of weathered this. I feel like we weathered the storm of the years of watering down CrossFit, of affiliates watering it down.
How so? What do you mean water down?
People's affiliates.
Go ahead. No.
I know.
You don't have to say any particular.
No.
Yeah.
Not here. I'm talking. When I say this, I'm talking in a broad stroke of the world, the country, CrossFit affiliates in general, thinking they needed to do specific things to stay in business, appeal to the masses, get more members in, all those things, right? And for a lot of years, we've seen this CrossFit Light, CrossFit, just move, whatever you wanted to call it, but it was this like no barbell, no intimidation, easy, barrier to entry, all the stuff of people, like I said, watering down CrossFit.
Yeah.
When, in my opinion, there was no need for that, right? To, if you're doing it just as a money grab to get more members in, whatever, do your business the way you want to do your business, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, but it is what it is. But really, if you understand CrossFit methodology and CrossFit programming, and your coaching staff is trained well, understands it well,
bought in,
and coaches well, there shouldn't be any reason for it, because we should be educating our community, educating our members, both as we on-ramp them and as we put them through fundamentals and as we integrate them into the community, how to properly adjust load, volume, scaling movements, right? If we're not doing that for our clients, we're doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
And if we're watering down CrossFit and not giving them something that they need in order to improve their fitness and whether it's general fitness or anything, then we're doing them a disservice.
Yeah.
And I don't personally think HQ ever lost that.
Okay.
And I think we weathered the storm like unintentionally, because it's just who we are.
Yeah.
And it's just, we believe in CrossFit methodology.
Yeah.
And I don't pull any punches with programming, because we want to lean back to an old purist CrossFit statement was the needs of the Olympian and the needs of your grandmother only differ by degree, not kind, right?
Yeah.
So I should be able to program in our house class, if you will, or our general fitness class for the community. There's ring muscle ups, there's rope climbs, there's handstand push-ups, there's handstand walks.
What's the modification?
But exactly, and we set everybody appropriately.
Yeah.
Now, I'm never going to control someone who's intimidated by that and doesn't want to come in to the gym or be a member here because they think I program too hard. But it's CrossFit.
It's CrossFit,
right? So, in my opinion, it's ego. If you don't want to be a member of a CrossFit gym that programs hard workouts, then your ego's in the way. So
yeah,
I hope I'm answering your question properly.
No, you are. It's good. No, this is good conversation. I appreciate this, because I always wanted to ask you all these years, like, how do you do what you do? I've asked you in passing, you're kind of like, buddy, it's kind of complicated sometimes. Sometimes it's easy, and I'm like, okay. I was like, one day I'm going to sit him down.
It's just like it's just like anything else. It is complicated, but at the root of it, it's simple.
Yeah.
It's just like CrossFit. It's just like fitness. Is it complicated? Absolutely. But at the root of it, it's simple.
It's kind of like, but I like, the reason I like CrossFit so much and I'm so bought into it, because at first I was like, I go back to that first day, I was like, this is stupid, Caleb. I'm not doing this. But his name is Caleb Stipes. That's the dude that brought me in here.
Yeah.
Fuck him up. He's fucking awesome sometimes. But yeah, I looked at it from that standpoint and I was like, okay, this is hard. And I realized that, like, I am in the Army and I do hard things. My job is hard, but I'm not allowed to quit my job because it's hard. The only thing I've known the entire time I've worked from 14 up to now, started off working, I was 13, 14 years old, helping my uncle hang drywall. And I was like, it's really cold. It was really hot.
Tough gig, man.
Yeah, and
I've
the
done a lot of
ceiling
it.
too, like ceiling, like what? I'm 14 years old. I'm like this,
holding drywall. Yeah.
And Alex always asks me, like, you always ask me, how are you so strong? I'm like, I think it's all the unorthodox shit I did, like Dad throwing square bales of hay, every summer, and I go and I look at now, I'm like, I'm doing a D-ball over a block, and I'm thinking about, oh, I threw square bales of hay. That's why I know how to pick this thing up. Not to say that I couldn't improve kind of how I do things sometimes. It's a weird thing it wants to do. It's still recording. But yeah, it's kind of like it makes sense and it's functional. That's the thing that people don't get
well,
that.
I mean, the same thing with nutrition, right?
Yeah.
As complicated as you want to make nutrition, at the end of the day, it's simple.
Yeah, life is simple.
Right?
It really is. It's
So,
not that complicated.
I don't know. I guess looping back around to your original question, I don't think HQ ever lost that. I think the fitness industry lost that because they were trying to compensate for what CrossFit was doing by presenting everything else, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you should be adding hypertrophy. You should be adding, everything, all this other things you want to sell somebody for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I view that just like the nutrition world and the diet world or whatever it wanted to be, selling some supplement and selling some program and selling some whatever.
Yeah.
They just try to complicate it when at the end of the day, CrossFit's simple and it should have just been left that way.
Do you think that
so? There's a lot of noise in the fitness ecosystem, in my opinion.
Do you think people attacked it because it was new, or is it new methodology, or not? I don't think it's been around since the '80s, essentially, and it's like
1974, from my understanding. I think the first time Gordon Glassman did Friends. The story that I heard.
Like, wow, yeah, that's what I think about that, and I go back to like what Savan had said. He was like,
I don't think it attacked it because it's new. I think it's human nature to think that, like I said, the answer is something else, right? Meaning, you either hit a plateau in your training, so you think, oh, I have to change my programming, and I need to fill in my holes or fill in my things by doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Or you want to get to the next level, and you think the answer is different programming or different style of training or whatever it is, rather than just being consistent and sticking with it.
Yeah.
We see the same thing with nutrition, right?
Yeah.
I didn't make this up, but I heard from somebody it's great. If you tell me all the diets that didn't work for you, all that tells me is that you didn't stick with any of them long enough.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and it's the same thing. When I see people jumping from programming to programming to programming to programming, or thinking that if they add some accessory programming that they're going to get to the next level of CrossFit, I feel like, why aren't you just sticking to
one
to
thing? Yeah,
right? It's been 3 months. Like,
you're not going to get a gain in 3 months. It's
exactly. And especially competitive CrossFit.
Yeah.
Because there's so many facets to competitive CrossFit, and the target keeps moving every year, right?
You got 17-year-olds out here now snatching 300 pounds.
And exactly. It's such a moving target, and there's so many facets to it that if you, in addition to the sport of CrossFit and the athletes being, like I said, being successful there, being a moving target and tons of facets. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're layering it on top of that, of you continuing to jump around and do different stuff, those things are never going to line up.
Yeah.
You've got to stick to it.
Yeah. That's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, you want to do this thing very well. I didn't, like, when I go back to when I was playing basketball in high school and college, it's not the school or the offense that you're running that's making you seem like you're bad. It's you. You need to fix the things that are wrong with you, realize what they are, kind of have some like introspection and go, okay, I need to be more disciplined. Like, half of the problems that I have with everything were mobility and sleep. Like, that was it. And I tell people all the time, like, we have the shared clinic room in here, and I tell them this line. I'm like, you think you're not strong, but that's a lie. And they go, what do you mean? Well, your strength is masked by your inability to fit in positions. If you can fit into position, then your strength will express itself exponentially.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that myself. I can pull 300 pounds to my forehead, but I can't get under and catch it because I'm guarding my hip. My mobility sucks. My hip mobility sucks. All those things.
Yeah.
So am I strong enough to pull it? Yeah, like I said, pull the barbell to my forehead. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do I have the
the
positional work to catch it? No.
Yeah.
So I'm guilty of itself. But that's absolutely true. But
speaking of like survival, how the fuck did y'all survive the COVID shutdown? How did you do that?
First off, the community.
Yeah.
The athletes and our members and the community here literally just, without question, just supported the gym through the whole thing. Mm-hmm. That's what I attribute it to that. Mm-hmm. Nobody canceled their membership. Everybody paid their membership through hand. And because I'll be forever grateful for that.
Yeah.
That's number one. On our end, what we did was we tried to support them the best we could. We literally gave out every piece of equipment. Decimate was completely empty. We gave out everything down to the 2.5 plates. Everything was gone. Yeah. We just signed everything out. We had it open the doors, open the bay door, and just signed everything out to everybody. Everything was gone. We gave everybody the equipment. We ran everything via Zoom. We had some people meeting in parks and hiking and doing whatever they could in small groups and driveways and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like I said, our part, we continued to write programming on a daily basis, whether they had equipment or they had zero equipment. We gave out everything we had and just trusted it would come back.
You're like, here you go, honor system, man.
Yeah, just bring it back. But yeah, that wasn't. I was never worried about equipment. Yeah, it was the community having to, and it's interesting. It's like one of those things. It's like you work for years to build a strong community and everything, and it doesn't come on accident. It comes by design. It comes with a lot of hard work. But to me, it was proven when something like that came up.
Yeah.
Right. Because you don't start working on the community when you're like, oh crap, we're in trouble.
Oh, shit's happening.
We need everybody to band together here. That work started years before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, everything has its own correlations, right? So it's like fitness. It's like we have an athlete here in the gym right now who he is a week out of chemotherapy treatment for lymphatic cancer or lymphoma.
Lymphoma.
I just said that probably all wrong.
It's called cancer.
Chemotherapy. So week out, came in yesterday morning, worked out. We've had a bunch of conversations, and he attributed, and his doctors have attributed his recovery, his response to the chemo, everything to his state of fitness and his state of health going into it. Right?
Sick-well continuum. Yeah, the thing you learned in level 1.
Exactly. It was a full sick-well continuum because he went into it fit. He went into it healthy, good nutrition, good exercise habits. He's, I want to say he's my age, so he's mid-40s, I believe. But he's 1 week out of chemo and he's back working out.
That's good.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, I kind of just jumped around subjects, but same thing, right?
Yeah.
He was prepared for what was coming.
Yeah. It's like, don't get ready, just be ready.
He was prepared for what was coming. It's a sick-well continuum. And I feel like the same thing. As a community, we were prepared for the storm that hit. Yeah. With already the fibers of the community were strong for people and that kind of stuff. So
I think that everyone's looking for like, oh, let's take this pill, let's do this, take this medicine or do this thing that this one thing will fix these problems that you have. But it's not that simple. Like, it's not
metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically speaking, yeah, but it's
with
like
an affiliate.
Not even with an affiliate. Like, if someone gets, I'll just use the example of COVID. This is me speaking for myself. I don't want to drag you into this one, but this is me. But why was the vaccine the only solution that was proposed? It wasn't vitamin D. It wasn't eat better. It wasn't don't be obese, because like people don't understand is that I do from a statistics standpoint, being like an analyst that kind of looks into this shit, is the people that got sick and died already had comorbidities. Like, they had diabetes, heart disease, a history of stroke, bad eating habits, smoking, drinking all the time. And then they get COVID on top of it, and people labeled it as, a COVID death.
Yeah.
No, it's a death with COVID. But these people were, now shutting themselves in, which, people are entitled to do what they want to do to keep themselves safe and healthy. I support that full frontal. But if you're looking at this thing now and going, oh my God, I'm obese, I can't go outside because, I could get sick, I could die. Why not tackle this obesity problem as long as it's within your realm of control, like not a thyroid issue?
Yeah. Tackle
that ahead of time so that when you do get sick, you don't die. Like, I got COVID 6 times. It was weird. Like, I kept getting it over and over again.
Yeah, I had it twice.
Yeah, the reason why I survived it is because fit. I ate relatively well. I took care of myself. That's what I mean by like a binary solution. I guess you can call CrossFit a binary, like a singular solution to things.
Yeah, I had COVID January of 20. So I had COVID before it was cool. You heard it here first. I had it before everybody. Went around our gym. It went around the gym in January 20 before anything, and everybody was just like, "Oh yeah, it's a bad strain of the flu going around. Everybody's got it." We had a guy in here coughing every morning, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not sick. I swear, it's just bronchitis." And we're like, "Okay," and he was just giving COVID to all of us. Everywhere. Yeah, man. I mean, it's obviously a loaded question. I'll avoid all the
the political.
That's just, we'll leave that alone.
Yeah.
Just from a purely a fitness and a health aspect. In hindsight, not in hindsight. we knew this, right? We knew it from the beginning. In March of 20, we knew what the answer was.
Yeah.
And we knew the answer wasn't masking and hiding in your house.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't say anything. You couldn't say anything to anybody back then because it was
like,
it was such an onslaught of this is the only answer.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, in March of 20, I'm like, okay, cool, let's do our part. We're gonna protect. We're gonna spend a few weeks.
Curve.
We're gonna spend a few weeks, letting everything chill out and laying low. That makes sense. Let's do it. Right? And it made sense for a couple weeks.
And then 4 months
later. It made sense for a couple weeks. Right?
And then as things went on, it was like, oh man.
Yeah. And and like I said, for us in our industry and what we do and our base knowledge of nutrition and fitness and what it does for us metabolically and what it does for our health and what it does for our fight against chronic disease and that hedge against disease that we have. We know this.
Yeah.
So like I said, at first we're all on board with the world and the community. Let's all pitch in and help here. Mm-hmm. But then it quickly became, this is my opinion, didn't make sense anymore. Right?
It became a virtue signal very quickly.
Well, yeah, like I said,
certain things got their hooks into it and made it this polarizing issue.
Yeah, and it was just strange. I mean, one of the things that has always been strange to me, even to this day, through these 3 years plus of it, is if you are willing to do anything to protect your health, right? And that was that's most people's claims. Like, I will do anything to protect my health and the health of my loved ones. I will get a vaccination. I will get a mask. I will stay at home. I will do all these things. I will sacrifice all those things. Then you should be willing to do anything to protect your health and your family, which includes changing your nutrition and adding your exercise. So do it.
Yeah.
Do them all. Like I said, it's your choice to get a vaccine, wear a mask all day long. That's fine.
Yeah.
Make that choice. But if your claim and your mantra is that you're willing to do anything, then you should do anything.
Yeah.
And the things that we know, like fitness and health and nutrition, you have all the data. You want to do all the research you want, do all the research you want. They're more effective than the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
So do them as well. So it's just like saying, you can't out exercise bad nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't out mask a virus. It's just not gonna happen.
We've since the conception of humankind and modern medicine been able to control a respiratory virus since the Spanish flu.
It wasn't gonna go away. It's never going away. So that's always been my only argument is make any personal choice you want. I respect that and you have the right to do it, but don't bias some information and ignore the others because you just don't want to make the changes.
Yeah.
That's always been my argument and my advice. Like I said, don't ignore the good sense.
Yeah.
The good data. I mean, we have so much data right now and so many studies of diet and exercise, nutrition. I think the last one I read was 27. It lowers your risk of chronic disease by 27%. Lowers death by chronic disease by 17%. Like I just read it, I can pull it up, but I mean, so much.
Because people lump like the GPP CrossFit in with the competitive, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna hurt yourself and do all this stuff, and you're like, no, for the average everyday gym goer, that's like the mom or the dad that's getting off of work or coming during their lunch break going to get a workout in, it's not what people think. It's, hey, I'm gonna you show up in here. If we show up like the other day we did the pistol snatch workout.
Yeah.
I should have did it at 185. But I did it at 135. If someone else walks in the door and they see 135 for males, 95 for females, you're gonna go, oh, you're relatively new. What is your 1 rep max? Okay, it is 115 pounds. All right, you're gonna do 75 pounds.
Yeah.
And you scale appropriately and take care of those people. But that hour of movement a day for 4 days out of 7 with two rest days on top of an active recovery day will set you up for success in the long run. Like it just will. That's how I started. That's how all the people that I know kind of started. They walked in and went, okay, cool. What am I able to do? All right, do this, and then you have these success stories of people that go from general population people to like competitive athletes. And kind of saying that, like, you've had a ton of people walk in and out of these doors, like a ton. Is there anybody or any group of people that made the most impact on you think, or made the most impact on you in particular?
A group of people?
Yeah, a group of people or an individual, or it's time to bring somebody out in the spotlight and go, bam.
You know, I don't know that it's a particular group of people or anything like that, but I will say that over the years of affiliate ownership and the years of coaching, um, the you know the sports side of this is fun, right? Um, the games is cool, all the big events are cool, all the big accomplishments are cool, but I think one of the biggest things that when I sit back and I look around the gym and I go, man, we've done something really, really good here for people. It's the guys like Patrick Anderson, the guys like Brian Dia, the guys who have gone through chemotherapy, gone through cancer, not only survived, but thrived extremely well and come back to a good level of fitness. Working with the adaptive community. Working with people.
What is the adaptive athlete? The one that you had yesterday.
That's Emmett.
Emmett, yeah.
So,
Emmett, yeah.
We working with the adaptive athletes, with adaptive community, integrating that into our community and events like when we added the adaptive programming to the Ultra Egos. But then working with Emmett, you saw him yesterday. Emmett's been a part of Decimate since day one.
Really?
Since 1.0, 2014. His mom Rita was a member of the gym. Well, she still is a member of the gym. She is a member of the gym. And Emmett would come in and just sit on the couch, and he was a fixture in the gym. Everybody knew Emmett. He high-fived him when he came in, but he just kind of sat on the couch. And I regret not having the education back then to work with him.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have it then. And even though we knew we can scale everything for CrossFit, I didn't have the ATA wasn't around or wasn't to our disposal to get that education yet. But yeah, long story short, in the past 6 months, we've been working with Emmett. Emmett has Down syndrome, kind of low functioning, nonverbal, but his improvement literally improves every single training session. We started two days a week. Now we're working out 3 days a week. His coordination, his cognitive ability, his communication, whether it's nonverbal or sign language, or that is nonverbal. His understanding of cues and instruction. When I say, hey, I need you, like yesterday we did bent rows, and he was able to put right, left knees on the bench, one hand, and do a bent row. I mean, 6 months ago would have never happened. Never happened. So you see that cognitive ability improving in him. And then his mom, Rita, tells me that how it's transferring over to his life. Emmett is 26 years old with Down syndrome. Like I said, low functioning, nonverbal, and his quality of life with his family and his home life has improved exponentially because of training CrossFit 2 days a week. And when his mom's crying that he's able to do things at home he couldn't do for the last 26 years,
that's rewarding.
Man, that's
it. That's it.
So not to say that one thing is more important than the other, but those are some of the most fulfilling things, right? Like I said, as an affiliate owner, we've taken athletes to the games, we've taken athletes to regionals, we've taken athletes all over the place, and that's awesome. I'm not taking that away from anything. It's super cool. But that demographic and that athlete being able to provide a platform and an environment for them to improve their quality of life, it's all worth it.
Because it's like kind of giving back. It's like you. At any point in your life where you can give someone something and see them improve, it's kind of like you get that warm, fuzzy feeling on the inside of you, because when you're dead and gone, no one's going to remember the amount of money you have because you can't take the shit with you.
Yeah.
People tend to remember.
Oh, yeah. Don't open an affiliate if you're trying to make money. If you're trying to get wealthy, don't open an affiliate.
Don't open an affiliate to make money? No.
You can get wealthy with the gratitude of ththese people, but
it is true.
Yeah, so that's it, man. That's been one of the coolest things to see. The other thing is he said mom for the first time, 26 years, called Rita mom. She texted me 9:00 at night on a Friday crying, just because she said he just called me mom for the first time. So just you see that it's improving the quality of life.
That is, right? That's crazy.
So that being said, another Glassman quote, and this is actually a new one. He actually said this at that seminar we went to up in Thornton. But he said CrossFit is not for everyone. Right, all these years, like affiliate owners and coaches, we always tell everybody it's for everybody. You can do CrossFit's for everybody. The truth is, it's not for everybody. But his quote is, "It's not for everybody, but it is for anybody." And it's a more specific, and it's a more truer statement, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not for everybody. Because you know what? Not everybody's willing to work.
Yeah.
Not everybody is willing to hurt.
Yeah.
Not everybody is willing to suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
And to suffer a bit and to sacrifice their time, their effort, their soreness, their ripped hands, whatever it is for their goals. Everybody, like you said, wants that quick
fix.
So CrossFit is not for everybody, because if you're going to come through the doors and wow, I can't do bar muscle ups, I can't clean that, it's not for me. I'm going to go to F45 or whatever.
But you can learn,
right? But it is for anyone, meaning anyone who's willing to do those things. You're willing to do the work, you're willing to show up, you're willing to be embarrassed a little bit because you don't know something.
Being vulnerable, that's really fucking hard for especially guys. Like, guys being vulnerable is really hard, especially to walk in and not be the best at something in a room.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Really hard.
Well, it goes back to what the earlier in the conversation, right? About putting your ego out of it.
Mm-hmm.
We always, that's, everybody talks about that, but people don't always want to apply it. Right? They don't think their ego's involved, but a lot of times it is, right?
Yeah.
If you're not dropping, if you putting weight on the bar that's not appropriate, that's your ego. You don't show up to a class that you're not good at something, that's your ego.
Yeah.
So yeah, anybody who's willing to put those things aside, then CrossFit's for everybody.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to not having to water down CrossFit.
Yeah.
You don't need to water down CrossFit.
It's like, I guess when I was in the Army, I know this for a fact because I have a lot of friends that were RIs and everything. It's like they did the whole female integration into the infantry thing, and that brought up a whole bunch of questions, a whole bunch of like, hey, will the standards change? They were like, no, the standards won't change, but they did, and they watered down the hardest school in the Army, like one of the seemingly hardest schools. And I looked at that because I went to Ranger School and I looked at CrossFit afterwards.
Did it benefit the soldiers though, or did it
benefit nobody? Like they just wanted to get there. Like, we want to have a female get through this. And my buddies that were in they had 4 females go. One of them was an Apache pilot. She passed.
Let me ask you this: so the females that passed, this has nothing to do with male or female, because it can be for male and female. Yeah. If you change the standard. It changes the legitimacy of that person's acceptance, right?
Yep.
So do they still feel like they deserve the win, as you say, or do you feel like, well, it doesn't, like, it's not a real win because you just made it easier for me to pass?
Yeah, they just made it real.
Is there any of that, or do people are just like, don't care?
People in the Army now, from what I know, my buddies that I have, they're still in or transitioning out that win as well. They were like, we really don't care. Like, we just wanted to get through Ranger School because it was one of our check off the blocks to hit major. Like, if I have that tab, I'm gonna make major. If I can make major, then I can make light colonel and I can do 20 years. But it's the same. I'll even do one that's even better, the ACFT, the New Army Fitness Test.
Yeah.
I remember taking it the first time when it was, hand release push-ups, ball throw, max rep deadlift, knee tucks, the shuttle run with the sprint drag carry, and then there was a 2-mile run at the end. I had to take that thing as part of a competition for 4th ID, and it was hard. Like, in order to max out the deadlift, you had to just deadlift, I think it was like 325 pounds 3 times, and I was like, oh, that's easy. They were like, you don't take any warm-up sets? I'm like, no. I just walked 325, did it 3 times. They were like, what? I'm like, yeah. CrossFit, did that. Came back to do the sprint drag carry, maxed that out. They're like, what the fuck? I'm like, I just do CrossFit. Yeah. Came back, did the knee tuck. I'm like, it's just like a really easy toe to bar. Do you know that they moved down the weights for the max for the deadlift? They moved down like 300. And then because they wanted to make it all male, female together. So if you're a female, you still had to deadlift 325 for 3 reps. Now it's different. I don't know what the standard is now, but I know it's different for male and female.
I mean, a different standard for male and female makes sense, but
if you're in a job that requires you to, like, there's like, whomever out there in the world is trying to kill you does not care if you're male or female. They're like, oh, you're wearing U.S. flag. That's it. And that was my qualm with it. Like, if you're going to make this thing, if you're going to redo the PT test and you have this standard set forth, don't make it easier because some people can't do it. It's just time for them to atrophy out.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of atrophy out. So
it's so funny. Like, it reminds me of a story. 2 things it reminds me of. Like, one if you're a master's athlete, you remember when making AGOQ for masters was top 200 in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be top 200 of the world. It wasn't this 10% thing, which I'm not mad at the 10% thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I remember when they changed it, I felt like that people made AGOQ. I felt like
Like
you just change the standard. It doesn't
took the bar and you went.
Yeah, it doesn't count anymore, right? That was just a personal view, but it reminded me. John, our coach John here, he owned the affiliate that I started at, and when I started CrossFit, one of my first goals was I just want to beat John at a workout. I just want to beat him at a workout.
That's right? I felt like I got to beat Alex one time.
I just got to beat him, and then I beat him in a workout. He remembers what the workout was. I can't remember. But then I found out that he was wearing, like not flip flops, but like sandals. He was wearing like I think it was like thrusters and something ridiculous. But he was like he didn't have his CrossFit shoes, so he wore like sandals or wore some kind of slipper or something. And then I was pissed because I didn't feel like my win was legitimate
because he didn't have all his shit together.
Because he didn't have his like I felt like because he wasn't like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wasn't at 100%.
Yeah.
And he probably couldn't really perform really well, then his score wasn't legitimate, and me beating him wasn't legitimate.
Yeah.
So this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's the way like my brain's wired, and I was like, it doesn't count. He's like, no, you beat me. You're take the win. I was like, no, you weren't wearing shoes.
No. Go and put on some shoes. Let's do this
and
again.
Do it again. Yeah. Like I would, and I legitimately wouldn't accept the win because I felt like he wasn't at his best, and I didn't want to take beating him if he wasn't at his best.
I mean, yeah. Speaking of winning and losing, like I manage athletes too. I mean, Gabby's one of them. And I kind of look at this whole drug testing thing, this whole, like, there's been a record number of people that have popped for illicit substances. And I look at it and I go, man, I read the kind of the drug rule book because I kind of had to read that stuff for Gabby and everybody else we manage. I'm like, okay, so this in season, out of season. There's a clause in it that says that you essentially won't be tested out of season. You tested for in season. And I feel like a lot of people.
What's a CrossFit season?
Exactly.
It's always a CrossFit season.
Exactly. That's what I was going for. Like that right there.
CrossFit's never out of season.
What is it? And you're like, oh, I declare my name on this list for water or whatever. And there's a new designer, performance enhancing drug coming out every week. Like there's something new coming out that we can't test for.
You know who John Romano is?
No, what? Go ahead.
He's a PED coach.
Oh, Jesus.
He's an old school T Nation guy.
Yeah.
He used to be a writer and publisher for T Nation years ago, and a bodybuilding coach. But yeah, and so his whole career now is just you hire him as your PED coach, and for all kinds of stuff. He's got some crazy podcasts on. You can find him.
I'm gonna find him.
I listened to him years ago because I like being educated on stuff.
Yeah.
And he's
clenbuterol. Don't take it.
All right, just don't take any of it. But the point of me bringing him up, so yeah, he's a PD coach. So you hire him, and he just coaches you through cycles and coaches you through your timing to where you can cycle off and
not get caught.
Not get caught. That's his job. You pay him to do all those things for you. Not only coach you through the actual substance use, but coach you through the timing of everything.
Imagine doing drugs for a sport that's not gonna pay you millions of dollars, man. Right? That's crazy.
Well, no, he works with a lot of high-end like NBA players.
I mean, well, yeah, I'm talking about CrossFitters.
Oh yeah, like, you can get paid in CrossFit. But he made the statement that he said drug tests are just IQ tests because the only people that fail them are just stupid. They don't understand. They don't understand how to time things. Whatever. That's a side note.
Yeah.
But he also had a podcast a couple of years ago saying, when you said designer things, he talked about that. Yeah. He said there are things coming in the future that are designed specifically to someone's specific DNAs. So they are you. So they're going in your system. They're enhancing your performance in every which way possible. But it's you. So there's no test possible to even look for it or find it.
Yeah.
Because there are things coming in the future that are going to create subhumans that nobody can even test for.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is that like I don't. But I don't understand. I have my suspicions of people that are like at the top. I'm like, there's only so much work and effort you can put into it to be that good. Something else is going on
in our sport.
Yeah. Do you have that thought sometimes or no?
Yeah. I mean, I think we would all be kind of naive to not know that this is just the reality of sports in general, the reality of high elite athleticism in any sport. And the arguments that I've heard in some discussions are when people claim that they'll sacrifice and they'll do anything to win whatever title it is, you best believe that means they'll sacrifice and they'll do anything, and it usually comes at the expense of their better judgment, their health, the integrity behind you know, themselves as a human and what they're doing. But it's an interesting thing. I think that one misconception about all of these substances is that they magically make you better at CrossFit. I think that's a big misconception. There is no PED that makes you catch a snatch properly, or pull a snatch properly, or better at ring muscle ups.
Your ability.
You might have some better endurance. You might have better recovery times and some strength, but you don't get. It's not a technique pill. I mean,
that's crazy.
There's still so much tremendous amount of work that has to be put in behind stuff, but I don't know. Why don't we just do like 2 leagues? Like have
tested, untested.
Untested, just let people go
just
to
town.
Just
like power lifters. Buddy John,
let people go to town with it, right?
Yeah, my buddy John said that when he came in, he's like, "Why don't you just have like a tested version of CrossFit and an untested?" And you're like, "I want to see someone do a 1-30-second Fran."
It would be a spectacle, right?
Yeah, a minute flat Fran. I want to see it.
Here's what I will say, and this is a discussion we've had with a few people. We have someone in the gym too that works for a drug. I won't say who. Yeah, he works. He is part of all of that regulation stuff. But we've had this conversation before, and here's my take on it for masters. Not because I'm a masters athlete or anything.
TRT.
But here's and anybody listening can take this and run with it. Well, I think it's already in discussion in some of the higher testing organizations. Masters athletes, we know scientifically, right? Male athletes, female athletes, everything, after 35 to 40 and beyond, hormone levels start changing. Testosterone levels start going down just naturally, and that's just science, right? So my opinion is there should be easily regulated. The goal is an even playing field. Right, that is our goal. We should have an even playing field. So if I have male athlete A, that runs a blood panel test, and his free test is within range of a normal 40-year-old or a normal person who needs to be at healthy ranges.
Then cool.
And male athlete B has turned 43 years old, and his testosterone's in the toilet just because genetically he's got poor hormones and all this stuff is happening to him. Why not let him supplement to bring his testosterone levels to an even playing field? Because if you don't, you have an uneven playing field, and whether it happened naturally or synthetically, these two athletes are not equal. They're not on equal playing field. Allow it. Say, hey, here's my test. I'm low. I need to be at range so I can feel optimal and I can perform optimal. And it's not out of control. I think for masters athletes above 40, 45, 50, 60, why not? Why force these athletes to feel terrible?
For trying to do something they like to do or love to do.
Exactly. And it could be very legitimate. I mean, testosterone tests are as simple as it gets these days. You can submit that as a competing masters athletes and show that you're within optimal ranges for your age.
Who cares?
Why not?
Yeah, they're trying to do your whole blood passport. Like, this is where you were a year ago. Now you're 43 and you dropped so many nanograms per deciliter and you're like super duper low now. And like, well, what do I do?
Well, what was that story? Remember years ago, there was that track athlete a female athlete who just naturally she had super high testosterone. She's in Africa. And they made her take blockers to bring it down.
Yeah. Like,
where was the logic in that?
It makes no sense.
Yeah. So if you're going to make someone bring it down, why don't you let someone bring it up?
Yeah. That's wild. It's weird. I don't understand it. Like, I don't get it. Because I work I'm sickle cell anemic. I work at a disadvantage 100% of the time. And I'm like, if I didn't have this, it's like if I didn't have this weird thing going on with my body, I would recover very quickly. I'd be really good at this. And I go, because I've figured out the technique issue with things. I've listened to your advice and worked on skills, got better at that stuff. Yeah, I should have listened earlier. Like, now I'm just missing the recovery part.
Yeah.
Like, how do I recover? And that's all a part of oxygen uptake.
Yeah.
Testosterone, all these things. I don't know. I just look at it and I go, they should have 2 leagues, tested, untested. Just like all the other things. They go, oh, well, this is me, not Alex. But, they have people that are men that say, oh, I want to be female, and they go play in the female division, and then like, bam, they're superstars.
That's a whole different discussion.
That's a whole different one. But
I think one of the other things too is, and I don't know the science behind testing and the science behind those things well enough. I'm saying this as a, kind of ignorant to those things. But with most SSRs and most PEDs being testosterone derivatives and testosterone based, that might be tough because you could be testing for, you could be using
a whole bunch.
ABC, that's a testosterone derivative that comes up on a specific test as a testosterone level, but it's technically not, just like a cypionate or a propionate or one of those things. Yeah. So I guess it gets hairy, but I don't know.
I just think that if you want to do that, just have a league for those people that went female to male or male to female. Like, go fight each other.
That's like I said, that's a little different discussion.
Yeah, it does, and I say this with all the love in my heart. I think people should be able to do what they want to do with their lives. Like, I don't care. Like, go do what you want. But when it comes down to money and school and scholarships and education and all that stuff, that's an issue because there's something on the line at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, me having testosterone in my body from the age of like puberty, which was like 13 years old to now, and then I go, hey, I'm a lady now. I'm going to outlift I don't care who you are. I'm going to outlift you. I'm going to figure it out.
Does your testosterone levels have anything to do with being able to grow good facial hair?
Dude, I don't. I can't. Look at this.
I have like weird, I am like you, man. I got weird patches. Like that I got like a swirl here, like a patch. And then like
a pork chop.
Yeah, it doesn't connect. Like my sideburns don't connect to here. So if I let my sideburns grow, there's like a line of nothing there.
You should grow it all out so everyone can see it.
Oh, it's terrible. I look like a terrorist. I'd probably get arrested as I was walking down the street.
It's like I'm the bomber now.
Yeah, I look like a homeless terrorist.
I look like a homeless black guy. Look at my face. Look at this. I need to fucking shave. Like I have.
Yeah, you got pretty patchy too.
It's bad.
How do you have like just high testosterone and then bad facial hair?
Dude, I don't know. My hair on my head grows like crazy. It's like
well, that's my hair has stopped.
The chest hair.
I don't think that's a lack of testosterone. I think that's a stress from kids.
Stress from kids. It's like kids and running the gym and doing all this other stuff. What are you having another competition soon?
Here at the gym?
Yeah.
Next one is going to be the Masters again. Okay. So we're going to host Masters of the Community again.
June.
We are going to a little bit earlier, I think May and June. We are going to be linking up with Legends again. Okay. So it'll be a Legends qualifier again. But you heard it here first. We're going to do two divisions. We're going to do the RX division, which is a qualifier for Legends. And then we're also going to do a scale division, which is just general Masters athletes. Yeah. We have a large population of Masters athletes here at our gym, as well as in Colorado Springs in general, that are Masters athletes that love CrossFit and want to compete, but are just not they're not competition driven in the sense of trying to qualify for an event like the Legends.
Yeah.
So we're going to provide both opportunities for the Masters athletes.
Yeah. And you just did Legends at Mayhem.
Yeah. It was a crazy experience.
Jesus Christ. I'm watching on YouTube. I'm like, oh, you should keep going, Alex.
I should keep going. I was trying.
Keep going. And he's like, I'm trying. I was going to say, I'm trying.
I was trying to keep going. That's all the fitness I had.
But at one point in time, just looking, I remember watching you push that sled, the torque sled. Mm-hmm. I was like, a little piece of him is dying in the inside.
Yeah, it was tough. The Legends that's the third year in a row that I've gone to Legends. It's a great experience. Bob and Joe put on a great event. And I love being a part of it because I want to help push Masters events more. There's more and more happening around the country and around the world. There's the one in Italy. Yeah. There's the Masters Collective. There's lots of stuff. So yeah, good stuff. I mean, for me, I think it was a little sobering in the sense of kind of realizing where I am in the men's 40s. Like I'm the last year men's 40-44.
You're the old dude now.
So I'm the old dude now. There was a lot of new athletes there that have aged up from 35s that were moving in that I didn't recognize that weren't there last year before. So the field has changed in my age division. And then plus, like I said, a little sobering in the sense of like, as an affiliate owner, our fitness comes last.
Yeah.
That's just kind of it, right? When you run in the gym, and that's fine. I've accepted that lot in life, and I've accepted that role.
He said that to me 2 years ago. He's like, you want to be fit, don't own a gym.
Yeah, don't own a gym. I won't talk too much about that, but it's the level of fitness that I have been able to hold on to.
Pretty good.
With still putting the gym first. Well, putting the business and putting the athletes and either the competitive athletes as well as our community first, and still being able to hold on to the level of fitness I have. I'm happy with that. Sure. I can't complain. To be able to hold on to that level of fitness, still is good. It's not really where I want to be. I want to be more fit.
But you're somewhere.
But yeah, I'd love to be more fit and to perform where I think I could, or to a better potential. But I'm satisfied and I'm happy with where I'm at.
Yeah.
That being said, I got a year to prepare to go into the 45. So,
so you're taking that hiatus year, and kind of like getting it back together, fine tune some stuff, and then jump back in.
Yeah.
Both feet in.
Yeah, we got some projects here at the gym. The Legends, that kind of going back to what we were talking about, the Legends thing. We're definitely going to host Alter Egos again. That's always a big hit with the community. That's the scaled or
scaled
beginner and intermediate competition, and adaptive. So adaptive athletes out there, we have a adaptive division competition. We're the only one in Colorado they're doing it. So there's that. I really would like to put the altitude games back on the list.
Yeah, I was gonna hope you're gonna say that. Like, what's gonna do it?
To be honest with you, like that was really my goals. I wanted to host 3 events, right, and cover kind of all the needs of the community.
Yeah.
Masters athletes, beginner, intermediate, adaptive athletes, and then the RX and competitive individual youngsters, if you will. But honestly, putting on 3 events is tough.
Yeah.
Just finding the right times through the year is tough. It's a lot of work for the gym. It's a lot of
coordination.
It's a lot of coordination. It's a pretty big impact on the community, on the gym, because we shut down for the weekend. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work involved behind these events, and it's just a lot. It doesn't sound like 3 events a year is a lot,
but that is
really
lot.
difficult.
Yeah.
So, but 100% the Masters and Alter Egos, and I would love to put the altitude games back on the list. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be a 2-parter again. Because we did a part A online, and we did a part B in person.
Yeah, in person.
I don't know if it'll be a 2-parter again. I kind of liked it, but
the online thing is it's kind of like when they did Turkey Challenge, right? We just got through that, and I had an athlete. She did all the online, but she was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm like at the bottom of the pool right now." I'm like, it's okay, because those people are doing those online workouts at their own leisure.
Yeah.
When you get in a day of competition and you have to back to back to back, and you don't get to deviate, you don't get to say what time you're doing a workout, your fitness will show then.
Oh, I think I'm guilty. I'm not guilty. I don't think I'm guilty. I'm guilty of it. I'm a pretty good qualifier athlete. I do really well on qualifiers, and I'm kind of a poor in-person athlete. Which I'm just gonna admit it. I am, and I don't know if it's like game day problems for me that I got to work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you get like, to your point, you're in your environment, you're at your gym, you're with your equipment, you're on your own time. You can warm up as long as you want. You can set up your camera as many times as you want. You can do as many times as you want. So yeah, you're gonna perform as optimal as possible.
Yep.
Game day, that's it, man. You show up and.
I think
Adrian Bosman said it years ago. He said, "Show me what you can do right now."
Yeah.
When you're tired, you're all those things. So yeah, game day is a whole different story than online qualifiers. That's why I end up doing good in online qualifiers and sucking when I show up.
Quarterfinals last year pissed me off because they did a wall ball run workout and they adjusted no scores. Like I did that thing, it took me 14 some change or something like that, and I got done and I was like, "Fuck, that was rough." And I did it exactly the way it was supposed to be done, and then someone did it the opposite way, and it took them 6 minutes. I'm like, "There's no way you can do Karen. You essentially did Karen with extra steps. In 6 minutes, you're a liar."
What if we did it rather than online, like a online portion and in person? We just the part A was like your scores in the open or something.
Yeah. That would
Or like your placement in or if like because it's like elite, because we have an elite division. What if we took the elite and said your placement in the quarterfinals is your score for is your 6th score of the event?
Yep,
that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be.
So
cool.
when you had to make the quarterfinals.
Yep. Depending, so you can't sandbag the open and be like, okay, I'm just gonna barely.
Yeah, I mean, for like our elite division, I would assume the majority of the athletes that are appropriately in the elite division would make the quarterfinals
easily.
Yeah,
just like okay, I'm just gonna do it. Yeah.
So then we take your quarterfinal score and make it a score on like a
that's your
day.
very first score. Bam.
You come into
that's where I'm sitting.
That could be kind of cool.
But then, yeah,
Just
it
an
makes
idea.
sense. But then you run the whole thing of like, oh, people cheat or do whatever, what have you. But you can't control everything.
You just cheat yourself.
Just cheating yourself out of it.
You're just cheating yourself.
It's like,
it reminds me back in I remember old stories when I first learned about CrossFit in 2013, and I learned like the Open had just ended in 2013 when I started, and John was like, "Oh, I wish you would have started earlier. You could have done the Open." Then he started explaining to me like, what the season looked like.
yeah.
And he's like, and then if you qualify in the Open, then you go to regionals, and here's the way regionals works and everything. And I'm listening to this, I'm like, that sounds cool. And then I'm like, well, why don't people just cheat in the Open and then go to regionals?
Yeah, it's like because it's gonna show.
Yeah, he goes, oh, go ahead. He was like, go ahead, go show up to regionals and embarrass yourself.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, don't cheat in the Open.
That was
There's your lesson for today, boys and girls. PSA: don't cheat in the Open. You'll just embarrass yourself in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, you get there and you're like,
or in the semifinals when you show up at the
MAC
and you can't do anything.
They're like, dude, okay, you got 30 ring muscle ups and you got the standard now, and you're like, well, can't do muscle ups. It's like, well, you did them in quarterfinals, right?
Right. Yeah, your score says you did 10 unbroken.
That was a hard workout. That last quarterfinals was rough. I saw that mass lift, the other total one. I was like, okay, I'm gonna kill this.
I kind of just stole that idea too, because you heard that your Open placement, was it Open placement or your quarterfinal score?
Either one
is now. Oh yeah, that's
your very first score.
Your Open placement is your first score in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Which is good because going to top 10%. I mean, I'll admit it. Even last year, I was like, I don't really have to try in the Open too much because I just got to make sure I'm in top 10%.
Yeah.
So I just kind of sandbagged the Open. Well, I mean, most people when they figured that out last year kind of did.
They were like,
because you're like, well, why blow myself out if I don't have to kill myself to make it to the quarterfinals?
Yeah.
The Open's honestly more about the community anyways.
But. Yeah, and then quarterfinals are like, all right, here we gotta get our shit together, and then semifinals you're like, all right, I'm here to do this thing now. I think that's the hardest part. I kind of looked at it, I go, oh, if I could ever make it out, I always told myself, oh, I gotta make it out of the Open. Made it out of the Open. I was like, all right, now I gotta make it out of quarterfinals. I'm like, if I make it out of quarterfinals, I have to quit my job. Because at that point it's like, you can actually do this now. So why not just buy all the way in and then.
What do you think the percentages of athletes that are able to have CrossFit as their full-time career now, competitive individual athletes, as opposed to 2 to 4 years ago? Dude, has it increased?
Yeah, now you have to be doing this 24/7. Like this has to be the main focus of your life.
Yeah, the days of your local athlete
1 hour in there
cheering them on and making regionals, those days are over, and that's okay. The sport's developed.
Yes, really growing.
But you see more of that than me, of like the brand endorsement, that kind of sponsorship money. Is there more of it going around and more athletes being able to do this more full time now?
Based on the rules. So funny enough, you know how at the games they have like jerseys now. You have to wear your jersey, you have to wear everything that's no bull. That's kind of weird.
Wodapalooza did that too. You had to sign up for it. I asked Gabby if she got her shirt, and she said no. She didn't. She chose not to sign up for it.
Yeah, she chose not to do it so she can wear. Well, not so she can wear, but Wodapalooza is doing that now. They're like, all right, here's a shirt with your name on it. This is the only shirt you can wear during your competing time. And then they go, oh, you can wear X, Y, Z or whatever. But I was at the games last year coaching a 14-year-old kid, and for James, because he had tutor, and we show up for the briefing, and they go, all right, you have to wear this whole uniform, and they give you a whole booklet. You got to wear this uniform. Okay, cool. Well, what about if I have these sponsors are like, nope, can't wear it. And I'm like, if you're going to do that, no bull. You need to, everyone's jersey needs to be for sale, and they need to get kicked back so many percentage of that, because out of all the athletes we manage and the ones that I know, maybe one of them, I think, and Hayes and Gabby don't even count. Gabby's the only one really, because she has Space Force and she's doing CrossFit, and she's just really gifted and she's a hard worker. Like, I'm not taking away anything that she does from her performance, but if she didn't have to worry about her job being in Space Force, she'd be at the top 10 or 5 at the games. Like, she could do that very easily, and that's my chief concern.
That was my argument with me. If I didn't have to worry about the gym, I just work out.
You just kind of go, I'm a master, and I'm going to compete and fuck everybody up. But yeah, it's getting to that point now. I looked at it and I went, what if I got really good at this thing figured out like all my health issues and all that stuff, and then dumped into it 24/7. Everything that I did was focused on this. How good would I get? And you never really know because I'm probably not ever going to do that. I'm old as fuck now, but that's the reality we all live in now. And then you have like the what's the name with Jacob Hepner? What is her name? Female.
I forgot.
I cannot remember her name. It's funny because we were talking yesterday on Instagram. Yeah, anyways,
I know who you're talking about.
Female athlete. This girl is 16, 17 years old. When did the Rogue Invitational? I mean, she came in last, but the fact that she was there and she won an event.
So how? Yeah, I mean that's tough because you get athletes that they need financial support to travel.
Yeah,
they need financial support to continue training without as their full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
They get financial support from smaller sponsors that are getting into the CrossFit ecosystem, but then they go to the games and they can't promote those brands because of the
partnership
that either whoever has with Noble or Wodapalooza has with whatever. Yeah. So now how do those brands that are sponsoring these athletes, is it disrupting their ability to support them?
It is.
So whose responsibility is that? Should companies like Noble and companies like, or the event organizers and promoters compensate for that? I mean, you can compensate 100%. For like saying, hey, we're giving you a stipend to travel and we're giving you a stipend to come, but that doesn't help them losing that sponsor because they couldn't promote for them.
Usually the sponsors take that hit. They go, oh, you're going to the games? Well, look, before the games, we need you to train in all of our shit and do this. That's what we had to do for Tudor. We're like, okay, you need to make posts with this for Go Ruck, this, I go down a list, and we would make sure he had all that stuff up, made the reels. Bam, we put it out there. Like, okay, we're happy. We're still going to pay you your, $20,000 a year or whatever. And that's a huge difference maker for somebody that doesn't have a job and they're just training 24/7. But I think that CrossFit, when CrossFit was under Reebok or Reebok was under CrossFit, however you want to put it, they were partnered together. Reebok never made a stipulation you have to wear all the Reebok shit.
Yeah.
It only happened when Noble came around. And me personally, I don't like Noble stuff. The shoes are uncomfortable. His clothes are really overpriced and expensive. This is just me. I'm not speaking for Alex, but it's me. I think it's a gross waste of money. And he goes, don't agree or disagree. But I think that if they're going to force the athletes to wear all of this brand clothing, it needs to be for sale at the venue because at the games, people buy stuff all day long. They need to get a kickback of that money.
It's crazy you say about Reebok too, because obviously, Reebok and CrossFit had their 10-year plus relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Out at Legends, Reebok sponsored that. That was a Mayhem thing, and Reebok, sponsors Rich and Mayhem. They gave us jerseys to wear, clothes to wear. They gave us a pair of shoes, which is super cool. They gave us everything, and we were required to wear everything on the event floor except for shoes. We can wear whatever shoes we wanted to. I wore the Nano 2 for the last event because it wasn't much of anything. Which the shoes, I'm not a super big fan of the shoe, whatever. But here's where I'm going with it. We were told the night before, you've got to wear Reebok stuff on the competition floor. If you don't have anything, you could go to the local Walmart because Reebok's now in Walmart. Got me thinking. CrossFit, Reebok lost CrossFit. Imagine losing CrossFit and gaining Carney B.
That's pretty,
and then putting your stuff in Walmart.
Yeah. That's what happens when you take venture capital money, dog. And you have a board. That's what happens. That's what happens. They go, we still need to make your bottom line. You don't have CrossFit anymore. You're going to Walmart.
Yeah, imagine losing CrossFit and getting Carney B as your spokesman.
That's rough.
I'm still hopeful that the Nano makes a big comeback. I did see leaks of the Nano Nano X3. It's out, just so you know.
It is?
Well, the leaks of
the pictures of it.
And I'm kind of disappointed. I don't ever like speaking before I try a shoe on. Or can we talk about shoes?
He's a shoe nut. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
I don't like speaking before I try things on because I've been proven wrong before. Like I've seen a shoe, I'm like, that's going to suck, and it's really good.
Yeah.
So I don't say anything here. But what I am disappointed in is shoe people, that I'm right here.
Go ahead. This is Anthony in the background.
We're talking shoes.
Go ahead. Shoes.
Since the conception of CrossFit shoes, the U forms and the Nano ones, and going forward, and even Metcon started doing it when Metcons came out. we always get a generation of 2 series, right? We get 2 series, a 1 and a 2 or 3 and a 4, whatever it is, that has the same basic platform, the same, midsoles, and then they update the upper. So, and it's always been like that, right? Metcons are the same. Nanos have been the same.
Yeah.
So we went all the way up. After they lost CrossFit, we got the Nano X1, which was the shoe of fitness, which we're not going to talk about that. But whatever.
I had my qualms against that.
So we got the X1. We got the X1 and we got the X2.
Yeah.
Whatever. They were what they were. They were fine fitness shoes, but I think they were a little not tough enough for CrossFit.
Yeah.
So I was excited for the X3, saying, okay, we have a new generation of shoes coming out.
Here's the problems, fix it.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we're done with that whole series. We're on a new one. Well, I saw the leaks of the Nano X3, and they used the same platform again. They went against an entire decade plus
of knowledge
of two iterations per generation, and it looks like the same sole. Now I'm just hoping that it just looks like the same sole. It's not really the same sole.
It probably is going to be the same sole because Reebok's like, okay, it's like the old guy that goes into the store and buys the same brand of cereal every day. He's like, I know this and it works for me.
Here's my theory. My theory is they accidentally made like 2 million of them, or like they actually like the factory
and
in Taiwan.
They're trying to get through those.
The factory
soles.
in Taiwan accidentally made a bunch, or they made a deal. They're like, if you're buying these, you're buying this many, and they're like, but that means we have to make the X3 the same sole, and that was the only deal they made them.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? So like, I think there's some like financial behind it.
I don't know, dude.
Or
those
they're like, oh, you wanted us to make 1 million? Well, we actually accidentally made 10 million. And then they're like, I guess we're going to run this sole through the X6.
Gonna find out. I hope you don't get any marginal loss.
Who knows what the truth is? Maybe Tal Short will tell us what the truth is.
The Go-Ruck shoes that I always wear are really comfortable. I like those.
I still gotta try those.
The TYR shoes, you tried those. I had a pair of their prototypes in the begining. They were really comfortable, and they did a lot of changes.
I've worn them a decent amount. I haven't really run them through the mill. I like running a pair of shoes through a lot of tests. Yeah. I did a rope climb in them, and the tiers rope climb really well.
Okay.
They rope climb really well. I burnt the outside of them within a couple of rope climbs, but that's expectable.
Yeah,
is that the right word?
Yeah, expected.
To be expected.
To be expected.
Not expectable.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think expectable
Friction's
is a word.
thing. Expectable is not a word.
It is
it?
Now.
No, expectable.
You can use that, guys, if you want to.
Use expectable.
Yeah, but yeah, I like the tier so far. I am surprised that they're as narrow as they are.
Yeah,
the lifter being touted as a wide toe box shoe from tier, I would assume that they would have made the trainer the same.
The Innovate lifters are really good. The ones that I wear, they're so
Why would make them good?
The toe, like you get in there and you're like, my feet usually in like the Reebok or even the Nike ones are kind of bunched up, and then all of a sudden I can splay my toes out, and I was like, what? This is different. And it took me a while to get used to because now I have full balance. Now I can overhead squat with my heels on the ground.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's one of the things I always liked about especially the Nano 9. The Nano 9 had a nice wide toe box. You were able to spread your foot out pretty well in them. But
they were just flat and soft.
And I hope the Metcon 9 is a new platform. The Metcons better not keep the same platform again.
The ones they made with Matt Frazier on it, they just had too much going on them. There's just too much on them. Love you, Matt.
The Letterman
Love you,
jacket.
The Letterman jacket ones were.
Did you see the guy who X-Acto knifed and cut them all off?
Wait, what?
Yeah, because those patches are just stitched on the shoe.
Really?
So this guy took an X-Acto knife and just cut them all off. So
that's a collectible shoe. It's not a performance shoe. Like, that's a collectible shoe.
It was kind of awful.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I really did. That was more for him. Like, they should have made one of those for him.
The new the Nano 2 Froning one, it looks pretty good, but it's on that same platform.
Yeah, like a shoe with straps like that. The Froning, I don't know which one it was. I think it was a 9. Froning 9 would have the strap and then the little thing you pull the eyelid and get the shoestring tight. I wasn't a big fan of that. I was like, it's flimsy.
I bought them. I did one rope climb in them, and the inside separated from the midsole. And I took a picture and sent it to Reebok, and they gave them to me for free. Which is crazy, right? Froning's known for rope climbs.
Why would
you make a shoe that can't rope climb? It literally rips in one thing.
It leads you to believe that someone didn't test it. Like, people don't test their workouts sometimes.
Or maybe people maybe they tested rope climbs like legless.
That was fucking dumb. You have this shoe. I want you to test a rope climb with this shoe, but don't use your feet.
Yeah, no,
you're
right?
Like,
you're like, these shoes are fantastic for pull-ups. These are the greatest shoes I've ever used for handstand push-ups.
And
they're really good for handstand walks.
And rowing.
Good for rowing. good for toes to bars and muscle ups. They're fantastic for ring muscle ups.
But second you put them on a roper, hit some double unders,
They
or
just rip on the inside.
they're just gone. Running them
I
one
have
time.
Nano 6s and Nano 9s that I've done thousands of rope climbs in, thousands, and they're fine.
These Nikes are the best for rope climbing. Like these, the Metcons are they're the shit. They just need to make them wider. Toe box needs to be wider. Nike, if you watch this, oh yeah, Olivia Kerstetter. Yeah, Patrick's right. Yeah, Olivia Kerstetter.
Nike, why'd you change the point of the toe on the 8 versus the 7?
Yeah, look at that. You can't tell because my foot's bigger than
it's only good for people who have Morton's toe. You know what Morton's toe
Morton's toe? What is that? It's like a hook toe? Like it's
Morton's
up under?
toe is when your middle, the second toe is longer than your big toe. It's very common. Like 40% of people in the world have it.
Why do you know this
40%.
statistic?
I just made up that because I looked it up.
Alex loves feet, everybody.
No, I like shoes. Actually, you know where it came from? I'll be honest with you. I reached out to Joel from As Many Reviews as Possible about the Metcon 8 when it came out, and I said, "What the heck's up with the toe box being shaped so differently and pointy?" And he goes, "Yeah, I noticed that too." He goes, "But I like it because I have Morton's toe." And I was like, "Well, now I know too much about you, Joel." But then I know what your foot looks like now. But then I had to look up Morton's toe.
And you went.
Yeah, so it's like your if this is the big toe is like that, your second toe is longer than the big toe.
Like your hand. Like
so yeah, the Metcon 8 is made for people with Morton's toe.
It's like Morton's salt. Morton's toe.
Isn't that strange?
Dude, okay, so what's next for CrossFit Decimate? That's my question to you. What's next? That's my last question to you.
Man.
Yeah, what's next? Give us what you can.
We talked about the events here in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a members party coming up, so that's cool stuff. Mm-hmm. In March, we're gonna do a members party, kind of an annual thing. I got 2 things, man, coming up that I can't tell you right now.
Yeah, don't. But when you get ready to announce them, we're gonna have you back on, and then you just talk about it. You just like spill it all out. I think we talked about one thing you probably won't talk about that was from yesterday. It's cool. I'll remember that. Remember the thing? Sunshine.
Oh
oranges.
That'll be the last one.
That'll be the last one.
So we got something big that's going to go out to the community, all of Colorado Springs, all of the Denver CrossFit affiliate area.
That thing, yeah.
I decided to launch it right after the Opens finished.
That's a good idea.
We're going to launch it right after the Opens finished. So it's really, really cool. I have to say it's really cool.
It is, yeah.
And not just because it's my idea, but I think it's just really cool. I think people, the community is going to benefit from it. They're going to have a lot of fun with it. It's something that we're going to be able to continue after the Open and keep kind of competitive CrossFit and community aspect of it and gyms getting together going. When I got into the affiliate space in Colorado Springs, one of the things that I loved the most was that I saw people doing stuff together, and I saw gyms doing stuff together, and I saw affiliates working together and communities working together. And I feel like over the past years, we've lost that for whatever reason. Some of the gyms that were around in 14 aren't around anymore. But I'm a very, very firm believer that the community is bigger than just our gym.
Yeah.
And if we promote community, then we should actually practice that as well. Yeah. Meaning we got to figure out a way to get gyms together doing stuff.
Yeah.
It's not us against anybody else. We should be, there's a lot of unfit people out there. There's a lot of business for all of us. Yeah. And the stronger we are together is better.
Yeah.
So this idea is going to hopefully predicate that of getting gyms together more. And so look for us when the Open's over, and we're going to get this stuff out to you.
Look for you where?
I don't know. Are we going to? This podcast
again. Yeah, I know, but where's your socials? Like, tell them all.
Oh, you'll be able to get to this information from our website, in our Instagram, our Facebook. We're going to try and hit every social media platform we can.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing TikToks.
TikToks.
I'm not.
If it doesn't get banned.
I'm 44 years old. I don't do TikToks.
You don't do TikToks?
No, but we might actually get some on there. Yeah. But yeah, right after the Open's over, we'll jump on every social media platform as well as our website, and have a link either on our website or a link to a new website for this new project we got going on. But I promise you it's going to be super cool and you guys are going to have fun with it. Yeah. The second thing later in the year you'll hear about, but that's Decimate getting bigger and badder.
Yeah, I know that one too. But if you anyways, I'm gonna put all of the links to all the socials for CrossFit Decimate down below inside the bio. It's going to be on the podcast link. This is going to be an audio-only version. It's going to go across every platform you can think of: Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's there. Find them at CrossFit Decimate on Instagram, and then Decimate Performance on Instagram as well. And then if you simply type into Google CrossFit Decimate Colorado Springs, it's going to pop up. And look at the website. If you're in the area in Colorado Springs, come drop in. It's an awesome place. There's plenty of space. Everyone is welcome, like literally everybody.
Yeah, we run open gym all day. I think I might be wrong in this claim, but I'm pretty sure we're the only gym in town that runs open gym all day long.
Yep. You are.
Yeah, 5 a.m. to 7:30 at night. It's been a space like that. So
yeah, he's keeping it up and running. It's kind of wild. But yeah, it's awesome, dude.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate your time.
100%.
Good chat.